Yo, what's up, everybody? Yo, what's up? Whoa. What's going on here? Hello? Hey, there we are. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Topher with Boston Concessions. I've been having like some issues today, so unfortunately, you don't get to see my shining face. However, you do get to hear my lovely voice, as horrible as it is. Um, Welcome in. We are live on YouTube and also on X. We will be later on joining wherever you get your podcasts, as that will be for listening on later. And today, we're going to have like an abundance of stuff. Couple things with going on about Giannis and his possibility of Celticness. A little bit of like Bruins teasers with what I'm seeing. A.J. Brown officially a Patriot, and the Red Sox. Well, we love the Red Sox. Also bringing it in our second show, introducing our segment, the concession stand, where we'll be talking about like some random stuff. I am going to bring up a couple things coming up in movies, because it is the summer, and summer blockbusters are the in crowd lately. So buckle up, get ready, because well, tonight's going to be like an interesting show. So already, let's get into it, considering you guys can't see me. It's never fun, but it's okay. Just need to find out certain things that are going on. Everything is always different. All right, so there is little movement in what I'm seeing, and also within a little bit of the digging that I am kind of looking at. One of the things that popped up into my mind was a little birdie talking about Dylan Larkin. Now, Topher, who is Dylan Larkin? Dylan Larkin is the Detroit Red Wings captain, where he has officially gone on record. And this was reported by Elliot Friedman via Sportsnet, that he has requested a trade out of Detroit. He's 29 years old. He's had 5 straight 30-goal seasons. He's got a team-friendly $8.7 million cap through 2031. Can he work here in Boston? That is a good question to look at. Pairing him with Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy can make a huge difference. Would Don Sweeney do it? You'd have to in some way, shape, or form. The first thing I can look at, you need a center. Okay, you need somebody to like be there, control the puck. You need a pure line center. You saw a lot of failures, you saw a lot of breakdowns, but a center isn't just, hey, let me win face-offs, let me do some randomness that makes everything great. They're kind of like your quarterback on occasions, where you're going to control for the defense, you're going to control for the offense. And the Bruins definitely needed defensive control. Adding something like a Dylan Larkin to the mix could help that. It could also strengthen a little bit more of an offensive defense that would carry a little bit more for the Bruins. It could extenuate possibilities that would actually benefit in this manner for what you're looking to do, especially if the one and only coach of this team is to do something that will make things work. Can you really sit there and add someone in this nature and, you know, have Marco Sturm control this properly? It would give a little bit more depth and a little bit more flexibility with what Sturm is looking to do with the Bruins. The bonus aspect of how I see it, and this is just me spitballing, adding Dylan Larkin would help the Wings. You'd spread the ice a little bit more. You'd be able to fine-tune defensive prowess in the zone, which in tune would help out Swayman and whoever the heck is the netminder behind him. That's something that you have to consider, especially making a trade in this value. What would you have to give up? I would probably understand that Mason Lorelei would have to go into it, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe a younger talent. But someone on the edge of Dylan Larkin, you are looking at something along the lines of, well, he wouldn't be quite Patrice Bergeron. However, he does have a lot of qualities that Patrice carried. And I think that's still what the team is missing since he retired. There's a lot that when you look at when Patrice left, it was almost like there was a hole that was just left in the Bruins' wake that doesn't fit a category anywhere. And we've seen losing seasons. We've seen just making playoffs. But also, like last year, they shot themselves in the foot. They did everything that, was completely wrong. You had a coach that was, oh, yeah, we're not afraid of that team. Well, there was reasons to be afraid of that team. And Buffalo did phenomenal to, actually get to the playoffs, get beyond the Bruins, which, in my eyes, there's no reason to be afraid of the Bruins. If I was a Buffalo Sabres fan, would I be afraid of the Bruins? No. I wouldn't be afraid of the Bruins. I wouldn't have to worry about them. I for sure wouldn't be sitting there going, oh, yeah, I got to worry about these guys. Yeah. No. And be that as it may, the Sabres are not in the series anymore. But the Stanley Cup final is still going. Vegas Golden Knights, Carolina Hurricanes. They are now tied within the series. Vegas taking game one. That game one was a monster. And when I mean I mean monster. Just to the fact that, what was it, 25 seconds in? And it was instant goal? Told you a lot. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to basically take a breeze. No, they came out shooting. And it was a back and forth. It was high scoring. It was everything you'd want especially in a Stanley Cup final. But yeah, Vegas taking game 1 in North Carolina with a score of 5-4. Game 2 wrapped up earlier before I came on, which is beautiful. Carolina taking that one in overtime 4-3. You could tell these games are going to be probably a grind because it's going to take its toll not only on the players, it's going to take a heavy toll on the goalies. Both of these teams have probably an it factor. So if you're not watching the NHL playoffs, you might want to check these games because I'll tell you, sitting in one of my favorite restaurants during game 1, oh, when you're watching just pure hockey, it is gold. Masterful gold. Huh. Well, I'm still kind of thinking that Carolina take it. And if anybody wants to ask me, I would like to see Carolina win it. I don't want to see Vegas do it. Something about John Tortorella, I think he's a dink bag. I didn't like what he did in Buffalo for the year. I was glad he was let go. To the fact that he was actually then taken on into Vegas. And then still everything that's going on with Bruce Cassidy is just kind of making me feel a little odd. Like the de facto of what is going on with Cassidy still boggles me. So Vegas held they were still in their playoff spot. They had 8 games remaining. And it just seemed awkward. Reading into this, management felt the team had lost its defensive accountability and competitive spirit because of the franchise's win now mandate. Kelly McCrimmon made the rare aggressive move to change coaches before the preseason begins. I will state this. Cassidy brought Vegas to the Cup in 23. Is there a reason that you relax at the end of the season? Yes. Are you going to win every game within that point? No. Are you still comfortable in where you are in the playoffs? Or where you're going to be? Well, yes. Should you have fired your coach for that reason? No. That's the part that gets me like pretty much on a standstill. You fire Bruce Cassidy, who's basically brought you a glorious season. And you're now riding John Tortorella. I mean, did Kelly McCrimmon want John Tortorella? Was he because he was locked in with Buffalo and Buffalo decided, hey, screw you, get out? You're a dink of a coach, which he is. Mind you, I don't think a lot of people like John Tortorella. To me, I think is a jerk. And it's just me. You know, maybe it was because of like how he coached the Tampa Bay Lightning in 04. I don't know. It's just something about the guy that I just don't like. Maybe it's his just overall presence. Maybe it's those stingy glasses. But to replace him with the coach that has basically taken almost 90% of the year to get you where you are, it's kind of a sad trope. I don't buy it. But within the whole aspect, like people are now saying that with Tortorella taking over, Cassidy's kind of on a blacklist. I would want to know why. Why would you blacklist Cassidy in any which way? There should be no reason whatsoever to blacklist him in any form or fashion. To me, in my eyes, I would have wanted to see him take the team, go into the playoffs. I have a feeling Vegas still would have been exactly where they are. I think they would have been competing for the cup. They had basically the hard-nosed everything to push. It's just really, really pompous. But I digress. I'm swinging with Carolina for the remainder of the year, considering we're almost done with hockey, so that'll be interesting. Switching over to basketball. So there is some like shocking news, and it comes as a factor. I mean, first off, we're talking about hockey. You basically get the Dylan Larkin news that he wants to trade, and that's coming out of Detroit. And then, kind of like up north, you move from hockey and you get into the basketball debate, and right within Milwaukee, you're now understanding to the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo is very intrigued in joining the Celtics. The question is always going to be, how do you do this? What Jay is going to be there? How do you get him on the team? And then what else are you going to have to adjust and muster in order to hold into Giannis being on the team as well? And a lot of rumors are basing a 4-team structure. One of them would actually bring Jaylen Brown to the Rockets. What would that do in comparison? I right there. I'm a Celtics fan, but I will say sending Jaylen Brown to the Rockets would make the Rockets a hard-earned team where I would watch them for the NBA Finals probably over the next 3 years. They're young, they're talented, they're led by Ime Udoka, very good coach. I don't care who he sleeps with, who he does anything with. I mean, yeah, man had a powerhouse wife and cheated on her with some intern within whatever it was in the offices. But digressions aside, for what you do in a side piece, bro. Do you have coaching instincts? Yes. Are you growing with a young team that is basically Celtics 2.0? And can you get away with Jabari Smith Jr. and some capital? Yeah. Because in some way, either Jabari is going to be on the team or you're going to flip Jabari with some of the capital, send it back over to Milwaukee, and acquire Giannis. Now, 2 things I can say about Giannis. Good player? Absolutely. Injury prone a little bit more than what needs to be, even currently. Yes. Something that you'd need to look at? Yeah. Because there's a lot of depth when I look at that. Because Giannis can be probably one of the most dominant forces on on the parquet. He could be one of the most ball controlled people, and him and Tatum would probably be a tandem that would shock the NBA, period. Here you have a giant beast, and then you also have the Prince of the Celtics in my eyes. And I'm wondering if to the fact that like a lot of this stuff is even getting to Jaylen. Jaylen Brown, granted, for like the first part of last year, NBA MVP caliber, showing off everything he's doing, going through all the motions to what would be, you know, a great mindset. And then just for whatever reason, his leadership kind of turned off. And I don't think it was because Tatum came back. I think it's just something shook him. Because if you notice, he was different in the playoffs. You had the first 3 games, or the first 4 games, I should say, you took a 3-1 lead, and then you kind of croaked it. And then when Tatum, again, sparred with injury, here's your time to shine. Here's your time to do everything to get you to the next level or to the next round. Give Tatum the time to heal and then go into the battlegrounds. No, you basically gave the win to the 76ers. And to any 76ers fan, that right there, beating the Celtics, that was and forever will be, for a while right now, your NBA Finals. And why do I say that? Well, they had the team. They had a lot of pieces. They had a lot of like-mind parts. They had a lot of things that were basically going to carry and make the team what it was going to be. And it just was flat. Pure flat. They couldn't get by the Celtics. They couldn't get by a lot of things. It was like anytime Joel Embiid just went up against the Jays, they weren't going anywhere. And you can't say it because they had a great team. I would be moved if Giannis left Milwaukee. And that there's more writing on the wall when you look at Giannis pretty much making the attempt to, well, what he would be doing leaving Milwaukee. There was just so much heat. And especially when he was younger. I mean, he's 31 years old. He's still basically the power forward that he is. But granted, go back a couple of years when he was playing and started with the Bucks. He wanted to be basically the Bucks centerpiece. He wanted to be the everything. And he has been. I mean, they've built things around Giannis. They put so many good players around him. And just even now, it's like it's just flat. Do I blame Giannis? No. Do I blame Milwaukee? Um, in some forms. In some forms, I do, because granted, when you're a GM in a market level like Milwaukee, you have to take a focus on what you're putting on the court. You also notice you can't go spending money ridiculously, and you need to add to this, and you need to be pretty smart. I mean, he's an NBA champion from 2021. He's an NBA Finals MVP, two-time MVP in 19 and 20, 10-time NBA All-Star. You have an All-Star Game MVP, 7-time All-NBA First Team, 2-time All-NBA Second Team, NBA Defensive Player of the Year in 2020, 4 times NBA All Defensive First Team, 1-time NBA All Defensive Second Team, NBA Most Improved Player from 2017, NBA All Rookie in 2014, NBA Cup Champion in 24, the Cup MVP. He's named on the NBA 75th Anniversary Team. You've basically got a damn good resume for who he is. So trying to put him somewhere, and I probably state, and I probably state that this is going to be a little bit of a project. I would say so. And the reason I say it's probably going to be a project is because with him being 31 years old, you're going to probably get 2-3 good years out of him. And then you're going to see some breakdown. You're going to see some breaks, especially with a guy that's 6'11". Sometimes they get to 37. Sometimes they get to 40. Sometimes they can handle it. Sometimes they can't. Not everybody is David Robinson. And Giannis is showing it. Because a lot of times the Greek Freak wants to go in and show his capability. What happens when he does? How did he portray that? And I think that's what's going to get him on a couple days to a week to 2 weeks on an injured list. You got to be wary of that. But can he fuel any type of drive in any team? Oh, yeah. Huge monument for what he would be looking at. I'd be okay with it. Just how you would structure the Celtics is where my concern would be. However, I do have growing faith in one Brad Stevens. I guess from the last time I was on here, like one of the things I was thinking was Joe Mazzulla would either be kind of outstretched out the door or just firing on a cylinder that would almost take him out of the Celtics locker room to begin with. And then the man wins Coach of the Year. So to me, it's a little funky because your Coach of the Year basically went out the door the first round of the playoffs. That's not a Coach of the Year to me. Why? Because you coached the team and gave them a stellar record without your superstar? Why did Missoula win Coach of the Year? I really want to know. This year, I didn't see it. He earned the honor after leading the Celtics to a 56-26 record, despite dealing with hurdles. Does anybody really want to believe that? Because I don't. Okay? Looking at who he went up against was J.B. Bickerstaff, who coaches the Detroit Pistons. And I'm sorry. Missoula has everything and is controlling everything, and you have so much more that you can do with that team. And for them to even be out the first round of the playoffs, you didn't have a casual worry. Your record was 56-26. Could you have been better? Yes. Could you have a 60-win season? You should have. With the team you had, you should have had a 60-win season. Why? Missoula ball. Threes are still killing this team. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you say it. But when you can't control the team because the only thing they want to is it's well factored. We've talked about it for years. This has been the turning point with every Celtics fan. You live by the three, you die by the three. Could have been a 60-win team. Could have been a 65-win team. But you died by the three. You also went into this playoff. You made miraculous strides in the first 4 games of the postseason. And what did you do at the last 3? You died by the 3. Flipping it over in the manner of what I'm looking at, J.B. Bickerstaff, to take a Detroit Pistons team that was basically trash and turn them into, well, a team that can actually make it in the NBA postseason, but also in their manner start building off of a beautiful aspect to bringing the Detroit Pistons back to prominence. I'm sorry, he would have been my vote. Missoula would have never gotten my vote. Why? Because he still had a reigning star, and his star for the first half of the year showed MVP caliber stats. And then in the second part of the year, kind of stretched behind a curtain. And it also wasn't on Tatum. No way. If you look at it, he started to dwindle back a little bit before Tatum came back. He was not holding his own. He was not holding things that he should do in the manner that he was doing it. To me, yeah, Missoula was not Coach of the Year. You gave that out as a fluff piece. But be that as it may, seeing certain trades, certain amenities, certain really wild things that Brad Stevens has done over the years has only made this team better. It's made them stronger. It's made them more attainable. Draft choices that he's done with the past couple years has given depth. Some of these guys are rural starters on other teams. You can't shake that. Vujicic though, that's an oddball. I was kind of excited. I was hoping to the fact that Vujovic was going to come in and kind of handle business. He was kind of like what a wet noodle would be. If you go to smack somebody with it, it's disappointing. So breaking down any aspect of how I feel given Brad Stevens, especially to make something work with Giannis. I could see him pulling a deal with Giannis and still holding a fresh core of the Celtics team that we have right now and making them be exactly what you need them to be. And in that blessing and in that mind's eye, a little bit more that, hey, we're going to see this through, and it's going to be pretty. I could see it being something pretty nice to watch. And while we're also talking about the NBA Finals, Knicks are leading 1-0. To the fact that Knicks are in there, I'm impressed. They've basically got a lot of heart. I will say I am thankful that, and I've said this a lot of times, and I'll still say it to this day. Flopping is probably one of the most ridiculous things on the planet in this sport. And to the fact that Oklahoma City went home is a beautiful thing. Do you need flopping ball? No. But is it turning into, especially, I said this last show, to the fact that the NBA is still surpassing almost $2 billion in revenue. Just granted to the fact that people are looking at other teams. They're looking at methods and ways that these teams are coming alive. And you have two different teams in the finals this year. It's glorious. Granted, you almost had Oklahoma City. And thank you, referees, for starting to catch on to SGA's baloney. You can see it in TikToks. You can see it all over the place. You could see people talking about it. I really want to know from people, if you're Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, do you stop and kind of reverse course with how everything's going on with you? Do you make it kind of like a big deal to where, like, hey, I'm gonna stop flopping, I'm gonna stop doing the foul thing, I'm gonna stop pushing away from everything that's going on? In my eyes, when I see that, it's disgusting. If you're a fan of the game, it is probably one of the most disgusting things to see. Why is it disgusting? You're doing things that, for starters, when you do like the kick thing, and also seeing replays where you jump up for a jump shot, and when you land, you see the push of themselves like to the court, and the person barely touched you. Listen, if you want to be an actor, go be an actor. Okay, if you want to show off your skills in, oh my god, I'm hurt. Oh my god, I got hit. Oh, then yeah, go be an actor. Go be a stunt double. Get it the fuck off the court. Yes, I use that F word. Why do you get it off the? Because it cheapens the game. I understand people are watching. People are wanting to see like excitement. They want to see like build up. They want to see a lot of things going on. But that in this game needs to get out the door. It makes it like a cheap whore, and nobody wants to catch anything from a cheap whore. If you do, it's like, hey, I spent $20. I got the best 2 to 5 minutes of my life. But, like Eddie Murphy said, now you got herpes and it's like luggage. Carry around with you everywhere. I'm good. I'm good. So, who's everybody got? Knicks, Spurs. I kind of like the idea of the Spurs. I kind of like the aspect of it. Wembanyama, really, really good talent to watch, especially in his size. Like, things in that manner are exactly why you'd watch a game like that. We're behind the 8 ball a little bit, so I'm gonna speed up just a smidge. I know one of the things that everybody's excited for. I've heard like 2 people say, "Oh, I don't want to hear about this." Yep, it was official. Blockbuster parameters were finalized. Everybody was dancing, cheering, yay, yay. A.J. Brown has officially crossed the bridge and is in Foxborough as a New England Patriot. And the Eagles did get a first round pick. The cool part I like about this is they got a 2028 first round pick. It wasn't 2027. It was 2028. So you're looking at 2 years. You know what that first round pick is probably going to be? Anywhere from 28 to 32. Did you give up anything for that? No. I'm okay with that. If this team produces, and adding A.J. Brown is going to enhance that. And there's more to the play. I'll get into that. I'll get into that in a second. But when you offer a 2028 first round pick, the belief that you're going to be anywhere upward of 25 or more in the draft means to the fact you basically gave up what would be constituted as a second round pick. That's in my eyes. That's how I portray that. Okay? If you've got a first round pick and you're like one of the first 15 people to pick in the draft, you've got a pure, talented first round pick. Because you're getting some of the top spots, the top free agent, like the top guys in that draft in any which way, shape, or form at 15. The fact that you go anything over 25, it is a second round pick. So you're either getting what's the leftovers of the leftovers for first, or you're just saying, hey, I'm just going to draft this guy. He was in the second round, like he's projected second round. I want to go soup to nuts with this. So that's where I'm going with it. I'm drafting him. You start drafting second round guys. Thanks, Philly. Take him. Take it. Because the aspect, and I will go back on this, and I will review this in every which way. A.J. Brown should have been a Patriot in 2019. Not knowing what you know in college to having a small parameter of what you know now. Would you take A.J. Brown or would you take N'Keal Harry? If anybody says you'd take N'Keal Harry, you need to slap yourself. It's all right. Okay. Waiting until June 1st to actually do this allowed Howie Roseman and the Eagles to split the $43.45 million dead money hit over those 2 seasons. It's 16.3 in 26 and 27.1 in 27. Rather than taking the full cap hit up front. What does that do for the Eagles? It allows them a little bit more cap structure to instead taking a dead money hit where they're not able to utilize the money, but they're paying towards something. And they would still be paying towards A.J. Brown in that case. The beauty part of this is, especially if you're an Eagles fan, congratulations to one of you guys out there, this allows you more financial play. So now you can get something in the aspect in the wake of, we just lost A.J. Brown. What can we sign? I mean, hell, you can go out and sign Stephon Diggs. If Stephon Diggs is right as rain, you've got 2,000-yard season guys. A.J. Brown being the younger of the two. But can you sign Stephon Diggs to a 1-year deal? Take him on and give Jalen Hurts another new target to play with? I mean, he's probably crying in his giant pillow that, he lost one of his favorite targets. But then again, can you blame him looking at the fact of everything that basically went down in Philadelphia, that this man was leaving town? I don't care who you are, what you are, how you say it, when you say it. A.J. Brown was leaving. There's no buttonhole to that. That man was out. See ya. Sayonara. Beauty part is, he's here. He's where he should have been in 19 if Bill did it properly. He's home. And if anybody remembers 2019, A.J. Brown, he cried on draft night. The Patriots were his childhood team. He wanted in. He wanted to play in New England. He wanted to be here. Instead, we took N'Keal Harry. I'm kind of curious as to what would have been. Would Mac Jones maybe have been a little bit more of a step up with A.J. Brown in his corner? Would Mac Jones be a little bit more credible with a pure bona fide number one? Would Drake May exist in New England if that was the case? Would Tom Brady have cut the gusto if he had someone like that? I mean, you're taking away N'Keal Harry, who, mind you, was gutter trash, straight garbage. But you're adding a talent like A.J. Brown in the mix, and you see differences. There's huge pieces that would shake up the differences between Tennessee, New England, and also Philadelphia if he was drafted by New England that day. But fast forward 7 years later, A.J. Brown's where he should have been. That's the point. I'll get it. So if any radio personality, any person out there wants to sit there and whine, bitch, moan, groan, holler, oh, well, A.J. Brown, he's a diva. Pull your underwear over your head. Stop. Stop it. Like Michael Jordan said, get some help. Who cares? You want to know why? Who cares? A.J. Brown had the option to where, does he know his value? Yes. Is he a number one guy? Yes. Should he be treated as such? Oh, yeah. He should be. He should be everything and more to be what he should be on that field. He's coming off a frustrating 1,000-yard campaign defined by schematic friction. Well, first off, Matt Patricia being anywhere around that team is already producing friction. I used to be a Matt Patricia guy. Will I hide it? God, no. But over time, you know, a wolf will always show where his sheep's clothing is actually coming off. And that made a very, very big difference. So for me, it's like, yay, hey. You know? So did A.J. Brown have a problem over there? Yeah. Did he sit there and blame anybody? No, he just said he was unhappy. Sometimes he just didn't even say anything, but like, you know, you could tell. Body language, everything else is a huge aspect within what you look at. And when you have body language like what he was giving off, yeah, there's a whole tirade of what you're looking at. But being here gives him that alpha role, that pure number one, that everything. And the cool part, and this is from me. If you really break down what the Patriots have for an offense, if you look at the wide receiver room, you're going to have A.J. Brown, Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas, unless one of them gets traded. Is it Romeo Dobbs? That's the other guy that they just signed? And then you're going to have like a couple other guys that are going to be like right in the mix. I want to see who's the wide receiver room. Because there's the problem I'm going to see is like, yeah, like you're going to have A.J. Brown. You're going to have Romeo Dobbs, Kayshon Boutte, Kyle Williams, who's a young stud, Efton Chisholm, who has shown to the fact he's a young stud, Mac Hollins. You can rotate these guys. and give Drake May so many goddamn options. It's scary. Because now this man is like, it's going to be like Matt Stafford when he had Calvin Johnson. All the man had to do was throw up the ball, and Megatron was coming down with that. But it's also giving what Tom Brady had with Randy Moss in New England. Moss goes downfield, you just toss that ball upward. What's he doing? He's grabbing and coming down with it. And if A.J. Brown is going to be double covered, Romeo Doubs right there. Kayshon Boutte right there. Kyle Williams right there. Demario Pop Douglas right there. Efton Chisholm, if you got him in, right there. That is a huge, huge addition. And it's not just even that. Like, you just made a powerhouse with an A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs. Because you know your pure 3 is Kayshon Boutte. 4 would be Hollins. 5 would be Douglas. Everybody else is kind of on the back burner. So, can anybody state to the fact that this team just basically got better? Yeah. Am I going to sit there and say, like, oh, we're Super Bowl bound, baby? That always gets me, like, in a pissy mood. You had a player, oh, yeah, we're Super Bowl bound. Like, yeah? Why? Because we got a guy? Cool. What happens if he fails? What happens if he gets hurt? What happens if anything else comes up? You guys are sitting there talking about Super Bowls. I just want to win. I want to win and get through the season. See how everything is, and then get to the postseason. And then after getting to the postseason, I just want to see what happens. Can I have faith in that? I hope so. Defensive lineman Corey Dervin's viral reaction on X. His comment, we just got a whole lot better. What does this do from Drake May's follow? What does this do for Drake May following his MVP runner-up season? For starters, if A.J. Brown was probably here last year, Drake May's your MVP. Do I still think that Matt Stafford deserved the MVP? Again, I'll say the F word. Fuck no. And there's reasons. I like Matt Stafford. I like Matt Stafford when he got drafted by Detroit. I felt really bad because of how Detroit has taken care of quarterbacks, what they've done with like guys like that. But I saw Matt Stafford shine and show to the fact he can be a truly amazing quarterback. When he got traded to the Rams, it was a whole nother ball game. So, looking at the review on this, the Rams are basically flying all in this year. Why do I say that? When Myles Garrett gets traded from the Browns to the Rams, you know that the Rams are trying to go all in because it's probably Matt Stafford's last hurrah. And if that was the case, I'm sorry, Matt Stafford did not in any which way deserve MVP. There was a lot of questionable tacks and a lot of things that basically everything that Drake May was doing during his season last year. And to have the passing capability, the touchdown capabilities, the not so driven turnovers that he had, but also with the personnel that he was utilizing and not knowing what the expectation was going to be, especially out of Kyle Williams, especially out of Pop Douglas, especially out of Kayshon Boutte. We didn't even know we knew they were talented, especially Trevion Henderson. But what did you not know they were going to do? Was put what they did on that field and make it count. Now, granted, Stafford had Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. It's basically an all-star racket sitting there in on that team. So why would you give a quarterback that has an all-star caliber cast, that his all-star teammates are making him look that good? Because the option should have been, especially with MVP, flip the script. Stafford on the Patriots would have lost more games. Would have barely hung on to a couple and made monumental non-differences in other games. Drake May, with pure weapons and his talent for completion percentage and accuracy and ability to scramble and his youth, I'm sorry. The Rams probably would have won the Super Bowl. Only thing I'll give Drake May that I wasn't I really think he was purely hurt in the Super Bowl, and like the Patriots were purely banged up. And you don't hear anything from it at all. It's kind of like, oh. But they're going to have a lot to come out with this season if they're going to get anywhere. You know, it's going to be a hard road this year. And if they start winning games, especially now with A.J. Brown, a lot of people are going to have to like put up and shut up. Because the beautiful aspect is right now, if they go on a winning streak and they go on a tear, all the naysayers, oh, the soft schedule, oh, the humanity, those guys go right out the door looking like crying little bitches. Because first off, if you believe in Drake May since he was drafted, soft schedule or not, should it make a difference? Other side of that spectrum, dude, if you have a team like New England and you go in and out every single way to win a game, you're still playing an NFL caliber team. You're not playing Pee-wees. You're not playing, well, I mean, you played the Jets twice, so that's basically a Pee-wee league team, especially for whatever they did last year. But the other teams, can you say anything bad about it? No. They're still an NFL caliber team. They're still in the NFL. They still make a big difference. They're still what you want to watch. Where's the side piece? Where's the error? There is none. Move along. We'll have to see how everything goes with the Patriots this year. And it's getting close. It's getting close. It's already June. You know, to the fact that, like, certain OTAs are starting up. Next thing you know, around the corner is July, August. Then September, we're looking at game 1, baby. It happens. But from going from one side of the grass to the other, we're going to go from like a square or rectangle right over to a diamond. My God. There's sometimes I really have to cater to myself. I'm a Red Sox fan. I've been a Red Sox fan for many years. I've loved the team in every which way, in every shape, form that you can enjoy, you can get a part of, anything that you can basically pull in. And there's times where I don't know if it's the fan base, if it's ownership, if it's the players. I knew definitely at one point it was the coaching because Alex Cora was Alex Cora. I don't care what anybody says to me. I had my beliefs. I had my repetitions. I had everything of how I looked at Alex Cora. How did I look at Alex Cora? I looked at Alex Cora exactly for what he is. Fraud, cheater, unimaginable failure. Did he win a championship in Boston? Yes. Will a lot of people actually look the other way when I talk about Alex Cora? Yes, they will. And that's fine. You can have your opinion just as I sit on here and I talk about it to this day. And I talk about how Alex Cora was exactly almost like what Rafael Devers was for this team. A cancer. There's reasons. And Chad Tracy is trying to do everything he can. He knows a lot of these guys. He knows a lot of what they're capable of. But you still have to put them against MLB-ready players that are up here in the majors in order to make a big difference. And right now, Brayan Bello is not one of those guys. The Red Sox have fallen 9 games under 500. So they are 26-35. They had a great 8-1 win the other day. And then they just basically gave it right back as an 8-2 loss. After the game, Bello has officially been optioned to AAA Worcester. That is $55 million in an arm. Sitting, not at Fenway Park anymore. He is in Worcester. The joke of this, he was pulled, I believe, in the first inning for letting 6 runs. He had a 40-pitch first inning. 7 hits. Wait, let me check his stat line for like what I'm looking at. Because I think like when I did the thing, it like wrote over for what my expectation was. Okay. So today he did 5 innings pitched. He had 7 hits, 8 earned, 3 balls, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. You give $55 million to that? I would give 2 bits. That is ridiculous. In his 8 starts, Bellows ERA just in the opener and in the first inning is 16.8. 16.8. Here's the part that I really want to, like, trim the fat with, like, people who listen to this. You want to give Caleb Durbin garbage when I like Brain Bello. I do. But Caleb Durbin is not doing that. And Bello owns a 10.35 ERA as a starter. That's 35.2 innings pitched. Compared to a .71 ERA with 25.3 innings pitched as a reliever. He right now has a 2-6 record with a 6.34 ERA. I have no idea what to expect out of this. But that is primarily where you have issues with relievers. You have issues with your guys. Those are what you have issues with that you have to fix. Those are huge, monumental pieces. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it is. But when you can't get your starter past the first couple innings without letting up a hit, and last year you were pretty good, you let things slide a little bit. Are you still thinking about the Yankees in the playoffs? Are you still thinking about how you let the team down? Do you have that monumental stroke inside your melon where everything is just basically breaking down and you're not looking like captain of industry? That's a problem. That, in every which way, shape, or form, is not a progressional piece. That is a mental block. That is if I looked at Caleb Durbin and him right now. Caleb Durbin is coming from the National League, which is easier for hitters. And some of their pitchers can be dominant in certain ways. So that's why, like, when everybody gets on the Kyle Harrison train, I kind of back off and say, like, listen, he's an American League pitcher coming over to the National League. What more did you expect out of him? He's going to come in and make a mountain. He's going to make a mark. Give him time because people are going to get to know him. And his mark isn't going to be there anymore. Look at Caleb Durbin. 268 hitter last year. 11 home runs. Still beautiful with the glove. And right now he's struggling. So the 268 was throughout the entire year. Right now, it's June. And he's, well, I don't know how he did, like, even if he played today. Was he in there? Yep. He had one hit. So he's popping a 7-game hitting streak. Can you give him credit right now? He's 26 years old. He's batting 194. He's starting to find a groove. But you still want to give him agita. I want to see how another 2 weeks goes. Because I'm looking at what he's doing right now, and over the past couple days, in 6 straight games, he's red friggin' hot. And people say, oh, you know, he started the year. So what? I don't give a shit. But when people sit there talk about Caleb Durbin and then go, oh, well, Brian Bellows not as bad as him. It's like, no, he actually is. The difference to it is Caleb Durbin is trying to get better. Bello just wants to start. Do you know what that basically does right there? It throws a monkey wrench in everything you look at, because here's a man who could be very well in the bullpen. And I mean, I'll compare it to Jonathan Papelbon, for crying out loud. Papelbon, especially Daniel Bard, when they both came up, they were supposed to be starting pitchers. Both of them. Both of them never regressed or optioned the role. But they were happy within their time as relief. And both of them, well, one of them heavily with injuries and everything else that came about. But as a setup and then closer, and then the other one being just one of the most dominant closers, in the game. Do you want to be known, or do you want to bitch? I'd rather be known than bitch. So if I'm Jonathan Papelbon, if I'm one of these other guys, listen, if I'm Brian Bayo right now, if they wanted me in the bullpen, take the bullpen assignment. Get yourself strong. Get yourself in. Get your characteristic. Get your head in order. Get something where you're putting that ball in the right proper manner. And then people are not going to compare you to Caleb Durbin because you're going to be solid. 0.71 ERA as a bulk reliever out of 25 plus innings pitched. Wow. I'm not understanding it. I can say who doesn't have like the proper pop is Craig Breslow himself. He's under immense pressure right now because of, well, I mean, he's sending down a guy he gave $55 million to. And which, by the way, we all had faith in the kid. We all believed to the fact that he was going to actually hold his water. I was peeing all over the place. But everybody is on Craig Breslow. Why? Well, Breslow stated he's not willing to make moves that hurt the future, but he's desperately looking for a right-handed hitter. They're not winning home games. The point I make when I look at Breslow and I make these comments, and a lot of people don't, I think, understand where I come from with it. Craig Breslow is not controlling the product on the field. First off, for the start of the year, last year to this year, Alex Cora controlled the product on the field. It wasn't a Breslow thing. It wasn't anything that, like, someone in the upper offices did. But I think when a lot of guys sit here and they play the, oh, well, we can do this, and they want to be, as I've labeled them, couch GMs. The beauty part of these couch people is what they do and how they do it. And when I say that with all honesty, is because a lot of these guys will basically pitch off a lot of, oh, hey, we can take this guy, we can move him, we can do this, we can make everything go, and we can make the stand, and we can do this, and we can make this, and do this, and make it's like, wait, stop. Who says a general manager is going to give you what you're asking for? Who says a general manager is going to be willing to part ways with their stud people? Like, you can always say, hey, I'd love to do this, I'd love to do this. But doesn't mean to the fact you're going to get it done. In any which way, shape, or form. I love when people put like Breslow's getting fleeced on trades. Total incompetence. Where is he getting fleeced? I said this last episode. Someone tell me what star power this friggin' team has that anybody wants to come here. You tell me where he can take certain pieces and go get something. Because again, you have to have something to get something. A lot of these guys are just coming up. A lot of these guys are just having an emotional aspect that is making for what it is. Do you want to dangle Weiler Abreu? Everybody would string him up. You want to get rid of Zdeno Rafaela? Everybody would moan and groan and want, oh, you gave away one of our really best prospects. Well, guess what? We got a 5-tier player plan within this for like this guy, and you're bitching now. Oh, give up Jaron Duran. Like, you can get a bag of balls for him. But then when people are going to trade off Duran, oh, why'd you give up Duran for? What the heck is the matter with you? You got nothing for him. Because there's nothing to get. Kyle Harrison, in a manner of speaking, was not showing the talent or anything within it of what he's doing right now in Milwaukee. So he got rid of it. But what did he get? He got defense, which is what the team needed. He traded away a possibility prospect for what the team needed. What happens? People want to lynch him. Next thing you know, if he dangles Peyton Tolley, everybody's going to want to romp him. I would be one of those people because I actually love Peyton Tolley. Between the mustache and everything. And whew, when this guy is getting compared to Paul Skeens, Max Fried, Shohei Ohtani, yeah, I'm okay with that. 24 hours difference from Peyton Tolley to Brian Bello. Huge night and day difference between it. And that's a high aspect. When I sit here and I'm also looking at I'm a part of a thing called Red Sox Nation. And just looking at some of the times, torments, everybody saying everything along the sun. First off, they're bitching about Jaron Duran. Then they're bitching about, hey, we've got this and this going on. We just got left-handed reliever Joe La Sorsa from the Padres. From the Pirates. So it's an option when you're looking at everything because there's so much going on, so much failing. But then the other aspect, which can somebody tell me in the manner of what the fuck Twilight Zone I turned around in? Where people are praising Roger Clemens who are Red Sox fans. We booed this man. We booed him because he was a dinkbag in Boston. He was an asshole. Asshole. And now everybody's loving him? I'm sorry. There's a difference between Roger Clemens and Bill Buckner. You know what the difference is? Bill Buckner made a bad play and let a ball go through his legs. Roger Clemens was a stuck-up, snooty little fucktard who hated people in Boston. Yeah, you can break it down to being young. You can break it down to being whatever you want to. But the point is he stuck it in your face for years. If you want to believe the crap about it, I'll state this. Because this is actually from Red Sox Nation. This makes the point. Roger Clemens has been seen at Fenway trying to show Boston fans what a quote-unquote great guy he is. He's not. He's trying to build fan support and gain forgiveness so he can get into the Hall of Fame. Don't be a sucker. As a Red Sox player, he was anything but clutch. Well-documented meltdowns and failures in the playoffs and World Series for Boston. He had given up and was apathetic in his last 4 seasons in Boston. He showed up overweight, out of shape, and didn't do very well. 4 seasons were after he'd received the biggest salary ever for a Boston player. He was offered an even bigger contract extension, but took Toronto's money, a division rival. He insulted the fans repeatedly after leaving, not management, the fans. Upon arriving in Toronto is when his steroid use started. He taunted Congress over the use. When they came after him, he threw both his wife and his friend under the bus. He was a Yankee and threw it in Boston's face. He retired a Yankee. After his World Series win with New York, him and David Wells went to the Babe Ruth statue and again disparaged Boston. He was one of the first people who charged fans for autographs and photos, not at a table. So if he went to a signing that he was already paid and he was supposed to do the signings for the people, he was still trying to charge. He's disingenuous and is only trying to curry favor with fans now to get their support for the Hall of Fame. He doesn't care any more about them now than he did before. Understand that those who vote for players to be in the Hall of Fame do listen to fans. Thankfully, most see Roger for what he is. An undeserving cheat who only cares for himself. He's a terrible person, and don't be duped by him. Real fans know what betrayal is like, and more than Boggs, Damon, and Ellsbury, Clemens was an asshole. And the point of this guy edited 80% of the respondents didn't agree with this, or did agree with this. Why do I bring it up? Because in certain ways of what you look at, this team has had hard struggles. We've had ups, we'd have downs. Brian Bayo's going through his. Roger Clemens went through a different way. There's always ways you can get back within certain things. Points also to the fact that, like, when you look at pages here, they're sitting and they just want to target everybody. What is the one thing Craig Breslow is at least trying to do? He's trying to put what he can on the field. What do they state? He's failing in doing this. Okay, why? Well, we expected this. Okay. And then, oh, well, let's reverse that. Because Craig Breslow is actually being targeted by Theo Epstein because he shouldn't be where he is. Why? Where is Theo targeting Breslow? If anybody knows the possibilities of Craig Breslow, it's Theo. Why? Because he knew exactly who he was in Chicago. He knows what he's capable of in Chicago. He's had the conversations with him in Chicago. And if I'm looking at Chicago now, they're not a pretty bad team. So Craig must have been doing something right, because he left Chicago with a growing franchise that's starting to make playoffs and win games. So somebody put that into an aspect and think about that. But as of the moment, the Red Sox are heading to New York to take on Sonny Gray and the Yankees. And I want to know one thing. Where Breslow's saying he's looking to buy, do you think he should sell? The aspect is, like, right now, and this was the same conversation from last year. When you got from May to June, you were sellers. When you got to June to July, you were buyers. In certain ways, you have to look at certain aspects of this team that have changed. They could be on a brink of having a moment. They might just set down on it. But I will state this: they are 26 and 35. So that means they've played 61 games. They have 101 games left to go. And if they're only 9 games under 500, can you get that back? Yeah. The Yankees, I believe, were 15 games under 500. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 15 games, I think, out of first place. And then they ended up owning first place, because the remainder of the teams, I mean, the Yankees had a horrible start of one year. And what happened? Everybody else was just being good. And then people started to dwindle. The season took toll. And the Yankees made up for it. But you have to go into playing people like Baltimore, people like Toronto, people like New York. You have to go in and make a claim that you will dominate those games. Bello did not dominate that rubber match. They lost. But they also have to start winning at home. That's going to be a huge difference for them. Let's just hope something can come out of it. But the last segment for what we're doing. So this is the concession stand. And it's certain little tidbits that I've noticed, done or otherwise, over the course of from the last thing to now. And one of the things I do like is I love movies. And when you look at movies, one of the biggest aspects is, of course, summer blockbusters. Current box office heavy hitters, Backrooms just crossed 100 million domestic in 6 days. With June 5th, Master of the Universe, which is Amazon MGM, it is looking at a $25 to $34 million opening weekend. I had a friend who told me about it. And I've been on the fence with this movie. But they assured me, if you like the cartoon and you didn't take the cartoon serious, go in and watch the movie. There's a lot of anecdotes, quips, certain things that will get you that if you like the TV show back in the day, you'll probably enjoy this because they do kind of throw some satire to it. Toy Story 5 coming out June 19th. And then hitting theaters June 26th, which is one of the biggest things, is Supergirl. It's James Gunn's second official DCU film. It gets hype for Supergirl, also bringing back Jason Momoa in the DCU, but putting him in a different role. So instead of being Aquaman, you're basically loading in and being Lobo. So you swear, you cuss, you drink, you smoke a cigar, and you throw things at people. It's what you basically like. Also within the aspect of like what you can also look at is Mandalorian and Grogu has been doing really good at the box office. It is still staggeringly growing. Why? Because a little green guy is always going to make people like just smooth. A lot of superhero movies, a lot of other blockbusters that are basically coming out. Just remember, go enjoy the movies, go relax, go kick up some. Second thing in the quality aspect. So I took a ride with a friend of mine and we went to Chick-fil-A. Now, I do know that Chick-fil-A has macaroni and cheese. But what I didn't realize is for $1.50 more, you can get a small cup of cheese to dip your fries in, to dip your nuggets in. I was not aware of this. This was not something that I knew about. This basically flogged my mind. There's cheese sauce at Chick-fil-A. I always thought that the sauce packets were exactly what they were. You open them, you dip, you dunk, that's it. Did not know that they had their own cheese sauce that you do magic with. So I sampled said cheese sauce. Oh, this is going to have to be like a bigger taste test. Because like I said, a friend of mine got the fries. They then got the cheese sauce and was like, "Here, you got to try this." And I was kind of floored. She kept on calling it Cheese Whiz. I was like, "That's not Cheese Whiz." Although I'm kind of curious if I can actually get a good amount of that and do a steak and cheese using that, because it's pure like liquid form for cheese. And it's like if you scoop the steak and cheese right into the roll and then drop it right on it, it's got the knack for a pure Philly cheesesteak. And oh, just the thought. Just the thought of that. I'm okay. I'm all right. One of the biggest aspects, though, like, and this is, of course, part of the concession stand. I'm a Dorito guy. I like Doritos. I do like what's the loaded taco, the late night taco one, has been like right now one of my absolute favorites. But I did want to ask anybody who actually listens to the show or kind of like follows me on social media, what pray tell is your favorite Dorito? I've utilized, like I said, the taco one, really good. It's got a great aspect to it. It's got that taco taste. The regular taco one that kind of looked like the older bag was really cool. I also really fall in love, and I've used this when I've made macaroni and cheese before, but they have the spicy sweet chili. I've actually broken those up and put them on macaroni and cheese and then put it in the oven and cooked it. And gives a little bit of the sweet, a little bit of the heat, plus also mixed in with creaminess of the macaroni. Yes. Sold. I mean, they've got them all. Like the one I will say that has kind of grown away from me, I think it's as I get older, like certain things just have like a different taste. Cool Ranch Doritos. I like ranch. I'm a big ranch guy. But Cool Ranch Doritos, for whatever steak it is, it doesn't have the same grasp at what it used to when it first came out. So it's like, okay, nacho cheese Doritos, like that's a regular. It's first one, you go for it, bam, great. But now you got all these other Doritos. So if you listen to the show, you get this far. Concessions homework. Go on one of my social media pages. Find me anywhere there. You can find me on the Boston Concessions Facebook. You can find it on Instagram. Heck, you can even go on the TikTok. There's Boston Concessions on TikTok. Tell me what your favorite Dorito is. I'm curious to know. This is how much I love the Dorito. Feed me the Dorito. Dorito. Oh, I started late. It was horrible. Couldn't get certain things. Like I'm also kind of mad. Gonna get the camera going, but here I sit. But this is also where I call it a night with you guys. I think for anybody who's checked in, who kind of like got a couple moments of the show, if you listen later on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, enjoy it immensely. Feedback and everything for the show is always welcome. At some point, I also have to bring back the speak pipe. Hopefully that we haven't gotten any burps, weak or otherwise. That in itself was just weird. So, I want to thank everybody again for checking in. This has been Boston Concessions. We are an SSBN podcast. Those beautiful hunks of people that are right out in Rhode Island. Oh, such beauties they are. Thank you everyone for like actually checking in. I will talk to you guys soon. Please enjoy and have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Thank you.